tarot and numerology and astrology and Kabbalah, which is not Jewish. Kabbalah goes back to, the old mystery schools of Egypt. If you understand that the Jews were pharaohs in Egypt, which is a whole other discussion, but if you accept that, then, of course, it is Jewish.
Yeah.
Ergo, the Jewish are Egyptian, but let's leave that aside for now. Mm-hmm. The idea is that, yes, these are part of the Western magical tradition, not because they came from Egypt with the gypsies and moved west, but because they were always in the West in the beginning. This is what it's all about. And so I stress in my work that people need to really start using this again. You know, how can you be a Western person looking for God, looking for spirituality, looking for psychic hygiene, and looking for the mysteries of the universe and strengthening your inner being and, you know, developing yourself as a... How can you possibly manage to do that without the right spanner and the right toolkit?
Yeah.
Well, what are we thinking here? You know, that you're going to fix the you know, you're going to go and fix the space shuttle with a frickin', you know...
yeah, with a wrench.
A hammer and a chisel or something?
Yeah, exactly.
This is the brain. Then we look around and find that we're finding spiritually destitute, morally leprous people walking around. Let's face it. The world, man is in a most egregious spiritual and moral state. I've said this from day one, you know.
Yeah.
I think in a couple of weeks we're going to upload to YouTube, you know, or to my website some of the earliest interviews I ever did on TV. You know, they're like, you know, they're from like a late 90s or whatever, you know, they're interesting. I want people to see them. But, you know, I look back at that and go, my God, you know that I was harping on the same thing? Non-stop. It's like, you know, we are in a very, very severe state.
Yeah, we are, yeah. And,
you can't re-hardwire. Psychologists have come up with a blank. You see, the doctors, the psychologists, they can only treat the problem. A good psychologist, of course, can do more than that, but there's not too many good psychologists around. So the most of the people out there that are called psychiatrists, psychologists, and of course a lot of these New Age spin doctors, they don't really know how to solve the problem. They have a general idea at best. Well, I can improve upon that substantially. There's a thing called the Western magical tradition. Never heard of that? No, but they've heard of Christianity, and they've heard of Gnosticism, and they dabble in the Essenes, and people are dabbling in black magic, and they're dabbling in blinking, you know, whatever from the East. Hare Krishnaism and Hinduism and all this sort of patriarchal, you know, misogynist, total nonsense, in my opinion. You know, the slavery of the human race. When they're not finished with one slavery, they're jumping to another kind of slavery. There's nothing spiritual about any religion in India. You know, the Shiva stuff is the earliest, and if you track it back early enough, then you got something spiritual. But believe me, there's very few people understand what Shiva was really about and what it means to live that kind of life. They'd be pretty shocked if they found out. And most of the Shiva worshippers in the world haven't the faintest idea what Shivaism really is. You know, it's a very, very different kind of life that is based on cannibalism and deconstruction and dying to your own lie, you know. So we're into a whole different setup there, which is not found in the world today. But that at least is pure. But you have versions of it amongst the Druids. You have versions of it amongst the Scandinavians. What do you think that whole saga of Odin sacrificing himself on the tree of life is? You know, going into the underworld, right? I mean, we're talking Shivaism big time. It's a concept that was all over the world. It's a shamanic principle. But leaving that shamanic tradition aside, most people in the West are, you know, seeking for anything to fulfill that void. And here are 4 arts of unbelievable antiquity that were tailor-made for, you know, the development of consciousness. Kabbalah, you know the mystery behind that, what that is? No, the only people who have heard of Kabbalah is when Madonna opened some sort of Kabbalah school. Then they heard about it and make some T-shirts.
Yeah.
You know, then they've heard about Kabbalah. My God, do you know what this thing is? And these arts have been used by the very people controlling your life. So that if people have only heard about these subjects because they've been on some right-wing Christian website and then they have a negative opinion of it, you know, well, I'm saying that, hang on a minute, just think for a moment. Those Christian websites may be quite correct when they say that these arts are being used by the, you know, the demonic mind-controlling elites of the world. Yes, that's true, they are.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that those arts are themselves in any way dark or negative. They're being used by people who don't have any light of their own.
Exactly.